Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by. Welcome to the ACC Baseball Championship Conference Call. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. Afterwards, we'll conduct a question-and-answer session. If you have a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. If at any time during the conference you need to reach an operator, please press *0. As a reminder, this call is being recorded Monday, May 21st, 2018. I would now like to turn the conference over to Mr. Mike Finn. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, and thank you, and welcome to today's ACC Baseball Championship Teleconference. All 12 of the coaches will be participating on the call today, and we will have a transcript available later. Audio will also be on the ACC website. With that, we'll just welcome Clemson head coach Monty Lee. The Tigers earned the number 2 seed in the tournament. We'll play Wednesday against Notre Dame at 3 o'clock. Coach, just talk a little bit about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to questions.
Well, we've had a great regular season, 43-13. I think it's our best overall regular season, wins-wise and conference wins-wise, I believe, since 2006. Brian Hennessy would know that better than me. But we've had a great year, and strength of our team has been an outstanding bullpen, led by Ryan Miller, Carson Spires, Riley Gilliam, who's one of the best closers in the country, along with a very solid pitching staff, starting pitching staff, and a lineup that has some power. We have a number of guys who have hit double-digit home runs. Seth Beer has had an amazing year again. Logan Davidson, our starting shortstop, has been all-ACC worthy this year, and Chris Williams has had a huge year for us, along with Kyle Wilkie, our catcher. So we've had a very consistent ball club, probably my best defensive ball club in the 3 years here at Clemson, and overall we've had a great regular season, so we're excited about coming into the ACC tournament as a number 2 seed.
Okay, questions for Coach Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, to queue up for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad. We do have a question from the line of Eric Boynton with the Spartanburg Herald. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Monty, do you have an update, please, on Jacob Hennessy, and will he be ready to go for the ACC tournament? Do you perceive any problems with his pitching arm moving forward?
He is ready to go. Just had some inflammation, which our sports medicine staff advised us to give him some time off after his start against Austin Peay, and we did that. He is throwing. He's thrown a bullpen, and he will be ready to go. His role will be yet to be determined, whether we'll use him out of the bullpen or whether we'll start him in one of those games. But he will be available, and I anticipate him pitching in the ACC tournament.
How pleased have you been, Monty, with the job he's done this year, the sophomore, stepping from the bullpen into your main Friday night starting role? How would you kind of address his season as a whole?
Well, he's had a great season for us. I mean, he towed the rubber for us in game 1 of every series outside of this last one, and he did a great job for us. Just the maturation from year 1 to year 2. Coach C has done an amazing job, along with Jacob, of working on that third pitch, his changeup. So he's developed a more complete repertoire to bring into, a start, and you need to be able to throw 3 pitches, I believe, to be a true starter, and he's done that. So he's been very consistent for us. He makes you beat him in the strike zone, and we've been very happy with his progress in our program from year 1 to year 2.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Lee? Coach, before we let you go, I noticed a note from Tim Beret over the weekend. It's the first time in quite a while that Clemson's won both divisions in both baseball and football. That's quite an accomplishment for you guys. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it's just a great time, in Clemson athletics right now. I just think if you look at this year, and obviously our season is not over yet. We're now going into the postseason, but with Coach Sweeney's running football, which has been, nothing short of amazing. Brad Brownell had an amazing season this year in basketball. Arguably one of our best years in a long, long time. And we've had a regular season to remember, one of the best ones that we've had in quite some time. So it's just a great time to be a Clemson Tiger, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. All the programs right now seem to be clicking on all cylinders, and we're very excited about the future.
Coach, facing Notre Dame, what in particular do they what kind of issues do they present for your team?
Well, we played Notre Dame at Notre Dame, had 3 very close ball games. We were fortunate to win 2 of them. I think they're a very sound ball club. Their starting pitching, I felt like, was very good. They have a number of pieces in their lineup that I feel like are, high-level hitters with Vierling and Podkel. Like both of those guys a lot. They have some athleticism. So it's going to be a tough test for us, no question about it.
Any more questions for Coach? Coach, thanks for being with us today, and good luck this weekend and this week.
All right, thank you.
We'll be joined by Coach Chris Pollard of Duke momentarily. Okay, we're back, and we have Coach Chris Pollard from Duke with us. The Blue Devils are in the number 4 seed in the tournament and will play open play Thursday against Wake Forest at 11 a.m. Coach, just a brief opening statement on your team this year, and then we'll go to questions.
Sure. Well, I'm first start by saying I'm proud of our club. Well, we've had what is in a lot of ways a historic season. I think we've played some of our best baseball down the stretch, and excited to be a part of this great tournament, and also very excited that it's back here in Durham.
Questions for Coach Pollard?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad to ask a question. And we do have a question from the line of Steve Wiseman with the Raleigh News and Observer. Please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Morning, Steve.
My question, I wanted to ask you about your pitching plans. Who do you think is going to start, Thursday and Friday, and then going into the weekend?
Sure. Well, not to be coy, but we're actually going to wait and make a final decision about who throws which day after we watch and study the game between Louisville and Wake on Wednesday. So we'll have both Mitch Stallings and Ryan Day prepared to go Thursday and Friday, and we'll make a decision as to which guy, which day after we get a chance to watch those two teams play on Wednesday.
Okay, and both those guys, didn't pitch as well last week as they did previously this season. So at Georgia Tech, what did you take from their work down there? And are they healthy? Is there anything you saw that way?
Yeah. No, they both feel good. They're both healthy. Honestly, Steve, I give a lot of credit to Georgia Tech. They swung the bats really well, particularly on Saturday. I thought, and I told Coach Hall this, and he'll be on the line here shortly, I thought that was the best offensive team that we had played all year. They played very inspired baseball and just did a good job of, extending at-bats. They had a lot of two-strike hits, and they did a good job of extending innings. A lot of it came with 2 outs when we were a pitch away from getting off the field. And so they deserve a lot of credit for what happened down there this weekend. But I've got a lot of confidence in both of those guys moving forward.
Good deal. Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Pollard? Coach, facing Wake Forest this weekend, what in particular do they do that gives you some concerns for your game?
Sure. Well, Wake Forest has got 3 really good power arms, and obviously a guy that's going to be one of the top draft picks in this year's upcoming MLB amateur draft this June, and Griffin Roberts produces a ton of swings and misses. He's a first-rounder. And then Colin Toulouse, who's an underclassman, is another future potential first-rounder. He's a guy that's going to be drafted really high. They're both guys that feature low to mid-90s fastballs and really good secondary stuff. And then, they've got some guys at the back end of that bullpen in Rain Suplee and now with Chris Parrish back that, they can make the game really short. They've got a lot of power arms, and you've got to be ready to hit velocity, and you've got to be ready to hit right-handed slider. And then, obviously, offensively, they got some guys with some thump. They've got some young guys with a lot of power. And, Johnny Aiello's one of the premier players in this league.
Any more questions for Coach Pollard? Coach, thanks for being with us today, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
We'll be back right at 10:08. Right at 10:16 with Mike Martin of Florida State. Okay, we're back now, and we welcome Florida State head coach Mike Martin. The Seminoles earned the number 6 seed in the tournament and will open play Tuesday, which is tomorrow, against Virginia at 3 o'clock. Coach, just talk a little bit about your squad heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to questions.
Well, obviously, we're excited to be participating in the tournament. It's always fun to come up to North Carolina and compete. Just been a year in which we've had our ups and downs, but fortunately we're playing very well right now. The last series with North Carolina State was just about as good as it gets. It was extremely exciting. Pitching on both sides was very good. Very few errors were made in the series. It was a great way to spend a weekend watching very good college baseball.
Questions for Coach Martin?
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question. Our first question comes from the line of Sam Blum with Daily Progress. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Virginia has a lot of lefties in their lineup. I think, especially this past weekend, they were going, the first 3 guys in their order were all lefties, and a lot of their capable hitters, even off the bench, are lefties. How does that play into maybe, how you game plan for them tomorrow? Obviously, I would assume Drew would probably be starting. So, how does that kind of go into what your plan is for that game?
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize. We have not made up our mind on who is going to start, but Drew Parrish will not start tomorrow. That's the only thing that I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Drew does not ever go on 4 days rest, and we're not going to start that now. We do have a left-hander that would be available, and that's Austin Pollock. Austin pitched 1 inning against North Carolina State. We also have a right-hander that could be available, and C.J. Van Eyck. But we know how talented Virginia is, and we just know that we've got to do a lot of discussing before we figure out who's going to start.
And then just overall, I mean, is it almost weird to kind of go into this tournament and you see Virginia as the 10 seed and what that kind of says about how tough it is to really have sustained success like you've had, just at this level, college baseball?
I can honestly say in all my years, this is the strongest year for college baseball that I've ever seen. All over the country, you have outstanding teams, and there are 12 very good teams in this conference tournament. And you look out over the SEC, the Big 12, the Pac-10, it's very, very interesting that baseball has exceeded a lot of people's expectations. And I'm saying this point blank, this is a great commodity, this game of college baseball. There are outstanding athletes, outstanding coaches, and it is a great venue to be involved in.
Thank you.
We have Wayne McGahee with He's Democrat Connected. Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Good, Wayne.
Just wanted to ask you about your recent success that you've had in the ACC tournament. You've won 2 of the last 3. You were in the final for the other one. Just what do you think has led to your team's success in this type of environment?
Gosh, Wayne, I wish I had an answer that made any sense. A lot of times you just happen to get a couple of lucky breaks, whether it's the other team was not able to use a certain pitcher that they wanted to use because he was used the weekend before. Last year, for an example, we did not use our 3rd starter because of a rainout when the tournament was played at Louisville, which enabled us to start the tournament with our third starter. And that third starter was Cole Sands. And Cole pitched very well. And then we had a day off, if I'm not mistaken. And then we turned around and used our number one starter, which happened to be Tyler Holton. And we were playing, of course, a very good Louisville team. Things just happen to fall into place. And like anything else in athletics, you've got to have a little luck. And I think you'd have to attribute that to not a little luck, a lot of luck for us.
And, just one more question, Coach. With you, Parrish not starting tomorrow, it's safe to assume that he will start on Friday, considering that's his normal starting spot?
Yes, sir. He will pitch on Friday.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Wayne.
Next question comes from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb Sports Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Martin. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Congratulations on winning a lot of games in the whole NCAA baseball and stuff. With all the wins that you had over your career since the 80s, is there one that you always remember that you're like, wow, I was part of that that win? It was part of my career.
Well, the fact that it's been so many, it's hard to separate many of them. But I think any time you look back on a career, as long as mine has been, you look back to the first game that you participated in as your first win, and that is something that I will always remember. And that one was at the University of Miami in 1980. I can tell you anything you want to know about it, but I can't tell you what I ate for breakfast.
And what do you guys got to do to win the championship in Durham? Because I know the last time you were there, it was a long day for the championship game because it was like 6 rain delays.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So what do you guys have to do?
You're right about that long day. You might as well say day and night. But, yeah, the rain was not nice to us at all. I just think to win a tournament of this nature, in which you have so many good clubs, a lot of things just have to go your way. You give a club a couple of extra outs, you're going to get beat. It's just a situation where it's going to be about pitching and defense as much as anything. There's so many good athletes on every club. If you gave me 6 teams to pick, I could very easily lose because somebody else would pick. And I mean that sincerely. Any of 12 teams can win this thing.
Right. Good point. Well, good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Coaches Mike Finn and Greensboro, thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week. We look forward to seeing you in Durham.
Thank you very much.
We now welcome Georgia Tech head coach Danny Hall. The Yellow Jackets earned the number 8 seed in the tournament. We'll open play Tuesday against Pitt at 11 a.m. Coach, just a brief opening statement about your team heading into the tournament, then we'll go to questions.
Mike, good to hear your voice. We are certainly excited to be in another ACC tournament and, realize that I kind of heard the end of Coach Martin's. I do think that just about anybody is capable of winning this thing. And, but we're excited to be part of it and look forward to playing tomorrow morning against Pitt.
Questions for Coach Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question. We have a question from the line of Ken Segura with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please go ahead.
Hey, Danny, how are you?
Hi, Ken.
Do you know the order you're going to throw your guys yet, or is that to be determined still?
No, we know that Xavier Curry will throw tomorrow, and then Connor Thomas will throw on Friday.
Okay. And assuming you get that far, Brant will go next?
Next would be just we'll see where we're at, and so we'll just those are the two games we know we're guaranteed to play, and but those would be the two starters for those games.
Okay. When we asked you last about kind of the tournament, NCAA tournament, you felt like you either had to win the two series or do some damage in the ACC tournament. Is there a kind of a threshold you feel like you guys need to meet to be safely in position?
Oh, I mean, I think we're flat on the old on the bubble, and there's so many variables outside of what's in our control that it would be hard to predict how the at-large bids are going to go down. So, with that being said, the only guarantee that we would have to get in would be to win this tournament, and that'll be the focus: is do everything we can to win this tournament.
You've obviously had some success being in this beat around there. Like, can you lean, at least with you and the staff, or kind of knowing how to guide a team through this, what kind of help does that have, or do you see things in this team that kind of makes you think that the same sort of thing is possible?
Oh, I think it's possible just because of the format. If you win your first two games, you are, you're in the semifinals. So I think it's definitely possible, but I think it's possible for all of us for sure. But the formula is, you got to pitch well, you got to play defense, and then you hope you get some timely hits when you got guys on base and in scoring position.
Yeah. How do you feel about the bullpen right now?
Oh, I think we've gotten better. I mean, I think the fact that, we saw some good things last week from some different guys. Jonathan Hughes in particular pitched well last week. Daytok pitched well last week. And so Archer ended up with a save, I'm pretty sure, in one of the Duke series. So, I think that has gotten better for sure the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Great. Okay, thanks.
Our next question comes from the line of Christopher Heidel with the Heart Sports Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Hall. How you doing?
I'm good.
Let's talk about playing against Pitt. Are they one of the surprising teams in the ACC this year in baseball? Because I know I know they had a tough schedule, but it seemed like they came out of nowhere to make it to the tournament.
No, when we played them, they played very well. We had three really, really hard-fought games. They won 2 of them, and so we know that they're a good team. They pitched very well when we were in Pitt in April, and so we know that they're definitely worthy and capable of being where they're at for sure.
And what do you guys got to do to get to Sunday for the championship game? What do you guys have to do to get there?
Well, we have to, like I said earlier, we have to pitch well. We have to play good defense. Then you hope you get timely hits when you need them, and you hope you get a couple breaks. I think sometimes you got to get a break or be lucky to advance to get to that the finals or even the semifinals, because all you got to do is look at the national rankings and look at the RPIs, and that top 10, top 15 is loaded with ACC teams.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Hall?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, before you go, this is Mike Finn.
Yep.
Coach Martin had mentioned that he thought the league this year was as good as it's ever been, top to bottom. Could you give some of you've had some longevity in the league as well. Mm-hmm. Could you give some of your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think the national perception of the league is down just because we'll just use ourselves as an example, coming in at 14 and 16. But there's a lot of teams kind of in that a little bit under 500 mark. But I was talking with Chris Pollard, I think Saturday here, and we kind of talked about this subject. And I'm just like, every team from 1 through 12 has, a couple good starters and usually has a couple good relievers. And so if they pitch well, they have a chance to win. So I think the records of some of the teams are what they are just because day in and day out, everybody's capable of beating everybody. So I think our league is as good as it has been and probably deeper than it ever has been.
Coach, thanks for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in Durham, and good luck this week.
Thank you, Mike. See you soon. Bye.
We now welcome Louisville head coach Dan McDonald, whose Cardinals have earned the number 5 seed in the tournament. Will open play Wednesday against Wake Forest at 11 a.m. Coach, if you would, just a brief opening statement about your team heading into the tournament.
We put it together here this last month, and I like our starting pitching. We feel like we got 4 quality starters. Offensively with a younger group, we got 2 juniors in the lineup and a bunch of sophomores, and they grew up as the year went on. So I think offensively we're swinging it as well as we've swung it all year in a very challenging schedule here this last month.
Questions for Coach McDonald?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, while we're waiting for some questions, just some thoughts from you about facing Wake Forest and what kinds of issues that for your team.
They beat us 2 out of 3 at their place earlier in the year, and Tom's got a young group. They lost a lot of great players last year, but they kept the belief up and the winning up, and so I would imagine they got to be confident going up against a team they've already beaten twice. So. He's got a nice run going there. They've got more experience in the conference tournament, more experience in the NCAA. So I would imagine they feel good about their chances, and we're excited. We get an opportunity to play them again because we got a lot of respect for them, and we get a chance to play a really good Duke team that we've heard great things about all year from the national media. We hadn't seen them this year, so I'm excited that we get to play one of the better teams in our league, having played, it seems like, everybody else, Florida State and Clemson and NC State and North Carolina, I love to see where we stack up against a really talented ACC.
Coach, we have a question from Chris Hydell of Herb FM.
Hey, Coach Dan, how you doing?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Doing good. Just talk about playing against Wake Forest. What do you guys have to do to get to beat them? I know you guys are. Last year you hosted the championship down there, and now you're back in Durham. So what do you guys have to play? You're playing basically in front of their home crowd.
Yeah, it starts on the mound. Everybody's goal is to throw strikes, make routine plays, and hopefully get some timely hits. I think their pitchers did a phenomenal job the weekend we played them, where their starters gave them 7 or 8 innings. I mean, they were efficient. They pounded the ball in the zone. They didn't give up a lot of free bases. I thought they played really clean, good baseball. They might have had a couple bad innings there like everybody does, but overall I left there going, those 3 starters are going to give them a chance to compete, even with a young team, to compete in the ACC, and they did, So like I said, we got a lot of respect for them, and obviously haven't played them, and seen how well they played against us, we realize it's a really good challenge.
And I know last week you played against Cincinnati. You guys scored like 25 runs. Do you have enough runs for the weekend?
Well, I mean, that's the old midweek baseball, and got to save your arms for the weekend. We were very fortunate. But I think if you look at our offense the last month, we've swung it as well as we've swung it all year. And I think you look at a guy like Josh Storrs, as hot as he's been the last couple of weeks, our junior 5-hole first-team All-ACC player, it helps. It helps take pressure off of everybody else. So it's a good time of year to be swinging it well because, you need balance. You need a little bit of everything going into a great tournament like this.
Well, good luck this week.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Once again, please press 1-4 to queue for a question.
Any more questions for Coach McDonald? Coach, before we let you go, you probably heard the tail end of the last question for Coach Hall, but we'll pose the same thing to you. Talk a little bit about the depth and the quality of the ACC in baseball this year.
Well, I've been in the South with college baseball now almost 30 years, so even though I've only been in the ACC, this is our 4th year, I'm just very familiar with the teams and the tradition. Having been in the SEC for 6 years and seeing that league take it to another level, I think anytime you have parity, anytime the bottom half catches up with the top half, it makes for a better league. And I think just what I've seen over the years and firsthand these last 4 years, there is a lot of parity in this league. And when, a Virginia wins a national championship, they were one of the lower seeds. Florida State was the 8th seed last year. They go to Omaha. Boston College is 1 win away from Omaha. Wake Forest 1 win away from Omaha. And, it just shows you the depth top to bottom. And I think this year, I think it makes a great statement for our league that everybody's beating everybody up. And if you give so much love to teams from other leagues for being 16-14 or 17-13 or 15-15 or 14-16, I hope you open your eyes and realize you should be doing the same for our league because, I mean, it's a war. I mean, every weekend in baseball sense, it's not easy. It's just like Danny Hall said, everybody's got some good starting pitchers. Everybody's got good relievers, and everybody's got good hitters. I mean, it's just it's better for all of us. It's better for all of us when we beat each other up and we have that parity because it just prepares us. It prepares us for the postseason, and I'm excited to see what the ACC does in these next few weeks.
Coach, thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Durham.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
We now welcome Miami head coach Jim Morris. The Hurricanes earned the number 7 seed in the tournament. We'll play Tuesday against Notre Dame at 7 o'clock. Jim, please talk about your team heading into the ACC tournament, and then we'll go to questions.
Well, I mean, it's been an interesting season for us. We've started 5 or 6 freshmen all year, and we'll, again, the opening game in the tournament, so it's been an interesting year with these guys, watching them mature and get better. Right now, we got Romy back playing, and we got Reyes back playing, which is a huge part of our offensive part of our team. So, I felt like we're playing good. We won our last 10 games in a row coming into the tournament. And your goal as a coach, I think, is always to be hot if you can. But it's a great league. It's a great league, as Dan said, and you can lose to anybody or you can beat anybody on a given day. It looks like, and we've got a better record in our conference and because of those 10 wins that we did 2 weeks ago. So we're excited about the tournament. We're ready to come up to Durham and get ready to play.
Questions for Coach Morris?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question. We have a question from the line of Christopher Heidel with Her Sports Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Morris. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. I know this is your final year being a coach with Miami. You know, is there a lot of things you remember being with Miami throughout the? You know, I know you guys were having a tough season, and you know you were in the postseason for like 35 straight years. You know, is that stuff that you're always going to remember? You know, being in Omaha and all that stuff.
Of course. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of great memories from here and Georgia Tech, to be honest, in the last 41 years. So it's been an exciting time. You know, you would like to end your career in Omaha, no question about that. And we've been there 13 times since I've been here. But we're going to have to get hot in the tournament. These freshmen got to play good. But I've got a lot of great memories. Of course, winning the championships are the best memories.
You said you guys are getting hot at the right time. Do you feel like your freshmen are actually learning the way of Miami baseball is?
Well, I know we always talk about that, and that's always one of our goals is to be hot at the end of the season when we're playing the tournaments and playing our best. And I think that's a combination of the freshmen getting better, and it's also really getting rest back in the lineup, getting Romy hot, and just some of the young guys playing better. So it's a combination of everything.
Well, good luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question comes from the line of Christopher Stock with Inside the U. Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. With what you mentioned, your freshmen, and obviously some of them have had ups and downs throughout the year. But with Freddie Zamora, you know, he had the slow start. But what do you think's enabled him to have, you know, a pretty consistent year, especially at the plate?
Well, I mean, Freddie was our MVP on our team, not just a freshman, but our MVP on our team. He's a talented player that he's gotten some big hits for us. He's right there at the leader in our RBI spot coming from and he's a leading off hitter. So he's just a good player, but he's got a high ceiling. He's going to be a lot better, I think, in the future, and he's gotten better as the year goes along. But he's got to work hard and continue to do that and have a drive to be his best. And, you know, I talked to him about it yesterday, actually, you know, after he got the MVP for our team.
Any more questions for Coach Morris?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 if you have any questions. We do have a follow-up from the line of Christopher Stock Inside the U. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Coach. Have you decided on your rotation? I know we had spoken about Cabezas before. Is he the one that's going to go to open up for you guys?
Yeah.
And what?
Yes, he is. He's going to start. He's going to start our opening game. Yes.
And then what also have you seen from him when he's been a starter, you know, since you moved him into that rotation?
Well, he's a guy that can really, you know, close, and he did a great job for us there of doing that at times. But you know, he really wants to start, and he's pitched better in that role as a player. And I think, you know, that's part of it too. But he's got a chance if he goes out, he locates that he can beat anybody, and he's proved that this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, this is Mike Finn in Greensboro. Before you go, we've asked each of the coaches to talk a little bit about the strength of the ACC, and since you've been in the league for, 36, 37 years, just wanted to get your opinion on how strong the league is this year.
Well, I mean, from my times at Georgia Tech, starting from that point to now, it's tremendous change in this league. From top to bottom, it used to be a lower echelon teams and a higher echelon team. Of course, when I took the job at Georgia Tech, they never finished above last in the conference, so they were one of those lower teams. And the facility, the concession stand was the Coke machine. You remember those days, Mike? I know. And didn't charge at the gate, and you've gone to the great facilities now that at Georgia Tech, and a lot of the facilities are unbelievable, and just the race for that, and the number of teams are good from top to bottom in this league, and everybody's getting after it, and it's to me it's amazing how equal it is in the league, and how many good teams, how many good players. You see when you go out there and play every team. So to me, that's a big change. Of course, the facilities is a huge change that you're seeing, the recruiting wars, all the things that go with it.
Any more questions for Coach Morris?
Please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad to queue up for a question.
Jim, thanks for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in Durham, and good luck this week.
Okay, thanks, Mike. We'll see you this afternoon. Be ready to play tomorrow. Thanks.
We'll be joined by Coach Mike Fox of North Carolina momentarily. Okay, we're back, and we're joined by North Carolina head coach Mike Fox. The Tar Heels are in the number 1 seed in the tournament and will open play Wednesday against Pitt at 7 p.m. Coach, just talk a little bit about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to questions.
Sure. Well, we're certainly excited, to finish the regular season, on a good note. And our team played a little bit better over the weekend than we have been previously. So, proud of our guys for doing what they need to do. Against Virginia Tech to put us in a position to, be co-champions and get the number 1 seed. So, we feel good about that and going into the tournament. So we'll see.
Questions for Coach Fox?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad if you wish to ask a question. And we do have a question coming from the line of Jonathan Alexander with News and Observer. Please go ahead.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. So during that short stretch where you all went on, I think it was 3 losses in a row, what do you think was going on during that time where you all were struggling?
Well, I mean, whenever you're not winning games, it's generally not just one thing. We lost to some good teams for one that just on that particular day just played a lot better than we did. I guess that was, at Coastal, they just played better than we did. We just didn't generate enough offense. And, we went over to Duke, and Duke just played exceptionally well against us. And some close games, just the ball didn't bounce one way or the other, didn't get a big hit. Didn't get it done out of the bullpen. So it wasn't one specific thing. We just didn't play well on those days, and it's baseball.
Do you feel like you guys have turned it around? Are you pretty confident the way you all played this last weekend?
Well, I think our kids are feel a little bit more confident than probably they did, previously. I mean, winning always helps, but the tournament is a whole different animal. Everybody plays at a high level. We're a better team, probably like most teams, but we're a better team when I think when we feel like people are still doubting us, and we play with a little bit of an edge, and we did that there for a while, and we came out of the exam period where we hadn't played in a while, and I thought we lost a little bit of that. So, maybe we got that back over this past weekend. Hope so, but now it's about just playing your best baseball, just sound fundamentally, and getting a good start from your pitcher, and and getting big hits. I mean, that's what it comes down to when you're playing good teams from here on out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Fox?
Once again, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad to ask a question.
Coach, while we have you here, if you could talk a little bit about the two teams, particularly that's in your pool, and what issues do they present for your team?
Yeah, we played. We played Pitt here early in the year, and they've got some good arms. I think they've got some of the, one of the best players out there in Sabino. I mean, he's got 16 home runs, and they got some guys that can hurt you. I mean, we're going to certainly have to play well. Pitt's very well coached, and they play everybody tough. Georgia Tech is might be one of the hotter teams out there right now. We were able to beat them here at Boschhammer, and in some close games. We kind of stole one there from them there on Saturday, I think they're a dangerous team. I mean, they're obviously playing for an NCAA tournament bid, and and I think Georgia Tech historically has really played well in the ACC tournament, and we're certainly going to plan on that continuing.
Coach, we have a question from Bob Sutton from the Burlington Times-News.
Good morning, Mike. Did Lucas show you everything? Hey, good morning. Did Lucas show you everything that he needed to show on the mound the other day that you can kind of use him more toward how you were hoping to this season down the stretch here?
Yeah, I think he did. He looked good to all of us, and the ball was coming out of his hand good. He felt good. Most importantly, he felt good the next day. It was obviously good for us to see him back out there. That was a 12-week, almost 12-week journey, I guess, for him. And he did everything that he needed to do during that time to put himself in that position. A great credit, to him. Yeah, this is pretty much what we wanted from him. 4 innings, about that number of pitches, and now it's a matter of just how we think we're going to use him going forward this week. And in a perfect world, he needs to get back out there and pitch again, this week, before we get into the NCAA tournament.
You obviously needed to see him out there a little bit before the postseason, I'm guessing, just to ease a lot of concerns if you were going to try to put him out there in late May or June, right?
Yeah, in a perfect world, that's what we that's what we wanted, and that's obviously what we got. So we were hoping that was going to be the case, and as soon as he was ready, by everyone's account, then we didn't see any reason why we shouldn't put him out there to start the game on Saturday. And fortunately, we were able to do that. Luka's always been able to throw strikes. It's quite amazing after that long layoff. He looked like the same Luka to me. Obviously, he's got to continue to build up his pitch count and his endurance, but he takes unbelievable care of himself. So he obviously wanted to go out and throw some more. That was just a competitor in him, but we got exactly what we needed from him on Saturday.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Next question comes from the line of Jonathan Alexander, News and Observer. Please go ahead.
Coach, last time you all won ACC tournament was 2013. It was also at Durham Bulls Athletic Park. But what would it mean to you and your team to win one this year?
Oh gosh, well that's one of the huge goals is to win the ACC tournament. It's extremely difficult to do, yeah, it would mean a lot to our kids and to our program. I mean, these tournament titles they don't come around very often. They're spread out amongst a lot of great teams in our league.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, this is Mike Finn in Greensboro. Thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Durham.
Yes, great. Thank you very much. Y'all take care.
We're now joined by NC State head coach Elliott Avent. The Wolfpack are in the number 3 seed in the tournament. We'll play Thursday against Virginia at 3 o'clock. Coach, just a brief opening statement about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to some questions.
It's just a team that's been very, very consistent from opening day to where we are now. Their mentality, makeup, intensity, just how they go about every day, I haven't seen change through winning streaks we've had or losing streaks that we've had. And very resilient group that have gone through a lot of changes this year through injuries and had to make adjustments to rely on a lot of freshmen and watch them come along and grow. And they just dealt with a lot, and very resilient group.
Questions for Coach Avent?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question. We have a question from the line of Sam Blum with Daily Progress. Please go ahead.
Hey, Elliott. Virginia this year, especially recently, has been using a lot of lefties in their lineup. The top 3 guys are lefties. A lot of their, back-end bench guys are also lefties. How does that impact maybe who you pitch, maybe what your strategy is this weekend, and, kind of what you kind of see out of that UVA lineup?
Well, I think, one of the great things about the tournament is you know who you're going to play, so you can play matchups, as you're alluding to. But and if we had to win the tournament to advance the postseason, then that's obviously something that we would look at more so than we are now. But right now we're trying to not only go to the tournament and improve our seeding, whether it be a national seed or just improve our seeding for hosting, but and try to win the tournament. But obviously get ready for postseason play next week as well.
And is it almost a little weird just to look at the standings and see that, you have UVA in your pool as a 10 seed, just given, being in this league a long time and what they've accomplished, but, not having that type of year this year?
Well, they've dealt with some injuries as well. Now, they had 2. I know McCarthy, who's one of the top players in the ACC, and you lose a guy like that for basically all the year. I think they've got it back for like the last, whatever game, 10 games or so, which is not only a big boost to their lineup, it's also a big boost to their team mentally, and to get a guy like that back. But they've dealt with some injuries well, so they're the 10 seed in this tournament. They're the 10 seed a lot because of the injuries they've had. They're a lot better team right now than they've been all year.
And do you have a starting pitcher for your first game?
First game is going to be Reed Johnson.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach Avent?
Once again, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad if you have a question.
Coaches Mike Finn in Greensboro. While we're waiting, we've asked this question to a lot of the coaches just to talk about the overall depth and quality of the league this year.
I think the overall quality for the last, I don't know, you can pick any number you want, but the quality for the last 6 or 7 years has been incrementally a lot better than it's been since I've been in the league. And a lot of people talk about, the fact that because of this is a league that's gotten, I don't know, you know better than I, 8 or 9, regional teams in it, and hopefully we will. Hopefully, there's some teams that are going to make a run here in this tournament and do well and get in postseason. But I think the quality of depth in this league is what's changed this league from where it was, say, 10 years ago. And so everybody beats everybody. Every weekend's a tough weekend. And then obviously you have some teams this year that are putting together unbelievable years on top of that. So it's the league's as strong as I've ever seen it.
Coach, also, I know you got a question about Virginia, but you also have Florida State in your pool. Can you talk a little bit about what they present as well?
Yeah, they're fresh in my mind. We just got through playing them, so they're as hot as they can be right now, much like when we played North Carolina a few weeks ago. Good teams are good teams, but good teams on a roll, they present quite a problem. Florida State's very hot right now, playing very well, and they're as healthy as they've been all year. That's what you want to try to do. We all deal through injuries throughout the year. You want to be as healthy as you can as you get ready for postseason, and that's where they're at right now. They're very healthy, playing very well with a lot of confidence, and their pitching is really, 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 really good.
Any more questions for Coach Avent?
Once again, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad if you have a question.
Coach, thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week, and we look forward to seeing you in Durham.
Mike, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
We now welcome Notre Dame head coach Mik Aoki. The Irish earned the number 11 seed in the tournament. Will open play Tuesday, which is tomorrow, against Miami at 7 p.m. Coach, just a brief opening statement about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to questions.
We're excited to be down there, back in Durham and back in the ACC tournament, and just looking forward to the opportunity to hopefully make a little run in this thing and maybe play our way into the postseason.
Questions for Coach Aoki?
Please press 1-4 on your telephone if you have any questions.
Coach, while we're waiting for a couple of questions, can you talk a little bit about playing Miami and what they bring to the table, what kind of concerns they present for you?
Well, I think first and foremost, I'm happy that I'm the first of 2 guaranteed games for Coach Morris, because I don't really envy the opportunity to be a footnote on what has been a terrific coaching career. And outside of that, in terms of playing them, they've been playing really well as of late. Obviously, a little bit similar to us. They kind of scuffled in the early part of the season. They've been able to put a little run together. They're over 500. Obviously, they're going to be pretty hungry to try to keep Coach Morris's coaching career going into, after the ACC tournament and into the NCAA tournament. So, with Cabezas on the mound, that's statistically probably their best guy. And they were a team that took 2 of 3 from us early in the season when we were both, I think, very different teams from what we are right now. So should present a great challenge for us. And while I look forward to the competition with Miami. I'm glad that I'm not going to be the person that Coach Morris coaches his last game against.
Our next question comes from the line of Christopher Heidel, Hearst Sports Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Just talk about. I know I come from a football side of things. I know Miami and Notre Dame play a lot in football, and they're bitter rivals and all that stuff. Do you guys get the same feeling when you play them in baseball a little more, just like the football, or is it totally different?
I don't know if it's to the level of, the Catholics versus convicts deal that, way back the 30 for 30 was on. But I do think there's a pretty healthy rivalry for, Notre Dame and Miami. And like you said, that it definitely dates back to the football stuff. And, this last fall obviously was a difficult one for us. Both teams going in there on a pretty big high, and they got an opportunity, sadly, to break out that turnover chain on us a little bit. So, I think there's an element to it there, but it's nowhere near the level of what it is at the football, on the football side of things.
Mm-hmm. And with the weather, I know you guys had a lot of weather issues during South Bend during the season, and we did too here in the East Coast. Like just last week, we had 9 days of rain. Are you prepared just in case if there's a spotty thunderstorm or something like a rainout that you're prepared for? A pitcher is ready to go just in case if you need them for an extra day?
Yeah, I think we're pretty good there. Scott Kelly, he'll throw tomorrow, gets shorted maybe a day or two of rest on what he's used to, but I don't think that's all that big a deal for Scott. But the weather is what it is. This has been a challenging spring north of the Mason-Dixon line. It doesn't matter whether you're in South Bend or anywhere, or Louisville, Kentucky. I was talking with Coach McDonald, and it's been cold and it's been dreary. I'm standing here at the Chicago airport waiting for our flight to get down to Raleigh, and it's pouring down rain, and I don't think it's much warmer than about 58 degrees. So it's been a challenging spring, but it is what it is. Until they start building us some domes around here, we'll be able to navigate whatever weather challenges Durham throws at us.
Yeah. Well, good luck this week.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, this is Mike Finn in Greensboro again. Just one quick question. I know you've got Miami in your pool, but you also have Clemson. Can you talk a little bit about them as well?
I think Clemson is an outstanding team. We played them at our place earlier, I guess maybe about 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. I think that sadly it was Keir Meredith's first series of the year, and I thought he played terrific. I understand that he's hurt again, which is unfortunate because I think he's a dynamic, really good player. But when you look up and down that lineup from Williams and Davidson and Wilkie and Beer and everything, I think they present challenges in that, they can run and sort of manufacture some things, and then you've got that, just about everybody in that lineup can also hit the ball over the fence on you. And then their pitching, I think, has been outstanding, with Hennessy and Higginbotham and Crawford, and then they got Gilliam at the back end. I think they're a really, really complete team. Just continuing to, I think Coach Lee has done a terrific job of carrying on the legacy and the tradition that started with Coach Wilhelm and through Coach Leggett and now Coach Lee. I think they are, we played some good teams this year, and I think that they're certainly in the conversation as one of the best teams that we've played all year long.
Any more questions for Coach? Coach, thanks for being with us today. Look forward to seeing you in Durham, and good luck this week.
All right. Thank you very much.
We'll be joined by Coach Joe Jordano of Pitt right at 11:12. We're back, and we're now joined by Pitt head coach Joe Jordano. The Panthers earned the number 12 seed in the tournament. We'll open play Tuesday against Georgia Tech at 11 a.m. Of course, that's tomorrow. Coach, just talk a little bit about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to some questions. Coach?
Certainly. Thanks for having me. Certainly a pleasure to be a part of this great event. It's our first opportunity since joining the ACC, and I know this, my staff and my team are very much looking forward to the competition. I feel we are very fairly balanced team. We've had some ups and downs throughout the course of the year. Had some really quality wins and some struggles at times as well. I think our depth is a little bit of a factor, but certainly Matt Pitich leading the way on our pitching staff, and some of our middle guys, R.J. Frewer and Elliott Avent, do a really good job for us. Had some quality starts from Dan Hammer as well. And Derek West has been pitching well as of late. Defensively, we've done a very good job all year. And we've had some challenges offensively. But certainly going into the tournament, up until this past weekend, we've been kind of finding our way a little bit offensively. So we're a very blue-collar type baseball team. We have to pitch well. We have to field it well. We have to take advantage of what the game gives offensively in order for us to be have a chance to win. So we understand the margin of error is rather thin, but we also embrace that challenge and work on it every day.
Questions for Coach Jordano?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question. We do have a question from the line of Jerry DiPaola, Pittsburgh Tribune newspaper. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Joe. How you doing today?
Good, Jerry. How are you? I'm on the bus heading to Durham. I just landed in Charlotte.
Quick question. I was curious how the team is different today than it was after the Miami series when you guys seemed to be at a peak. Have things changed a whole lot since then?
Well, I think since then, we lost Alex Amos in our lineup, who, are kind of our spark plug. He started the year as our leadoff hitter, and then we decided to move him down a little bit to generate some offense in the back end of our lineup. And he was injured prior to the Miami series, and it really kind of shifted our lineup around a little bit, both offensively and defensively. And then since that point, we also lost Nico Popa, who broke his index finger on his throwing hand in the LIU series. So two guys that played quite a bit for us. Up until that point, we have not been available to us since those injuries, and it doesn't look like they'll be back for this year. So, and I also think that we've had some really good outings from Dan Hammer. I think that Matt Pitich has continued to pitch well, and I think that we are again up until past weekend, we've been swinging the bats pretty well. So again, as I mentioned, the formula, which I think for any good baseball team is going to be pitching and defense, which we've been pretty consistent with that. It's just we have to improve our, I would say, timely hitting, situational hitting. If we can do that, we have a chance.
Who would you turn to after Matt in your first game, or is that something you'd rather not discuss?
It would depend on some of the matchups, but we have RJ, even Derek West coming out of the pen is somebody that has done it over the past 3 years. Has done a really good job coming out of the pen for us. Then you also have, of course, TJ Pagan, who gives a different look from more of a submarine style. Then, of course, on the back end, Yaya. So, we're playing it, quite frankly, all in, game one. So we're not even thinking about Wednesday. We're thinking about the 9 innings in front of us tomorrow against Georgia Tech.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it very much.
Any more questions for Coach Jordano?
Once again, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, before we let you go, I know that you mentioned him a couple times in the call. But can you talk a little bit about what Matt Pidich has given you this year in your starting rotation?
Yes, sir. Matt has done a great job for us. He's a bulldog on the mound. He's a pitcher. He's not going to overpower you with a power arm, but you can run it up there a little bit. But he pitches, throws all 3 of his pitches for strikes, and does a really good job controlling the running game and pounds the zone. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So he has an impeccable work ethic. His pregame preparation is phenomenal. The work that he does between starts is really an example of how to do things properly. So it's really a situation where you look at him and how he does it. Such a great example for our younger players.
Coach, thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week, and we look forward to seeing you in Durham.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
We'll be joined momentarily by Virginia head coach Brian O'Connor. We're back, and we now welcome Virginia head coach Brian O'Connor. The Cavaliers are in the number 10 seed of the tournament. We'll open play tomorrow, Tuesday, against Florida State at 3 p.m. Coach, talk a little bit about your team heading into the tournament, and then we'll go to questions. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. We're honored to be in the tournament. We're in a situation that is clear that we need to go there and win the tournament to be in the NCAA tournament. So we're excited, first and foremost, to be in the field and looking forward to playing tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And certainly the way the pool play type stuff works, we need to win both of our first 2 games to advance on. So we're going to take them one at a time and hopefully have an opportunity to continue to play after the pool play. That's it.
Questions for Coach O'Connor?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question using your telephone keypad. First question comes from the line of Sam Blum with Daily Progress. Please go ahead.
Hey, Brian, I'm curious how you kind of see Jack Weiler and Evan Sperling maybe working their way into this tournament, given, first that Evan came back and pitched pretty well on Sunday, and then obviously what Jack did in his last 4 at that.
Yeah, well, Evan Sperling, I don't anticipate being available until
a potential Game 3 or Game 4 in the tournament, semifinals or finals. So we'll just kind of see how that plays about. Certainly we need to be successful in our first two games to have that as an option, probably to see him again. Jack Weiler, I don't know yet. A lot of that depends on who the other team's starting pitchers are and things like that. If he doesn't start, depending on who their starter is, certainly the option off the bench like he has been. So we'll just have to see, what the matchups look like and who we play against. But certainly he had a great weekend for us and provided a little bit of a spark for us. So we'll see.
And with Jake McCarthy obviously having come back now, I mean, how do you kind of view his Virginia career, given that there's pretty good chance it could end after this season? And do you kind of view it as successful, incomplete? I mean, how would you kind of describe it?
Well, I think it's very successful. I mean, the young man can't do anything about the two injuries that he's had. His freshman year, he was in the starting lineup right out of the gate and ran into the left field wall and missed the rest of the season. And then, certainly we know what happened this year with his wrist. So, it's nothing that Jake can do anything about. When he has played for us, he's made a huge and serious impact for our ball club. So I'm thankful that he's here. I'm thankful the way that he's played when he's been able to play. Certainly it's unfortunate, and everybody feels for Jake because he's such a great kid and a serious competitor, and I think makes a big difference in our ball club. But hopefully we're glad he's back, and hopefully he can make an impact starting tomorrow and in this tournament.
And the last one for me is, you guys have been using a lot of lefties in your lineup. Like you mentioned, Jack Weiler there, depending on the matchups. They, both coaches said they're starting two right-handers, I believe, they're in their games against you. Does that help you, given that you have such a lefty-heavy lineup? How do you kind of look at those matchups?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we're not. I think our offensive production against lefties, not certainly not all of them, but it's been good as well. So, I don't know who they're starting. I haven't heard that. I haven't been on these calls, but we'll see. I don't know that I feel any differently whether somebody's pitching a righty or lefty, but certainly, we have more left-handed hitters in our lineup than most, and so we'll see how it affects it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question comes from the line of Mike Barber with Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Brian. I'm curious, how do you make the decision to go with Daniel Lynch in the opener? What things are you looking for in terms of matchups that kind of leads you that way, or the way he's been throwing? Kind of take us, I guess, behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah, well, it didn't have anything to do with matchups because we didn't. When the decision was made to hold him out of the Wake Forest series, we had no idea who we'd play. Going into the last weekend against Wake Forest, I mean, I had a pretty good idea that we would have to win the conference tournament to be playing the following week. So with him starting on Monday night against Georgia Tech in the last home ACC game, it was either put them on Saturday or we already knew we were in the tournaments, or save them for the opener. And we're in a scenario, Mike, that we've got to win the first two games to advance on to the Final Four of this tournament. And so, I wanted to make sure that our two guys that have been, consistent for us all year, Lynch and Casey, that they have an opportunity to pitch in this tournament to give us the chance to get to the Final Four. And I think that, as the way it lines up, they're both going to have that opportunity.
And unless I mix something up, the teams in your pool you haven't played in the regular season.
Correct.
Is there a little bit of an advantage to both pitching staffs in that these lineups haven't seen them, or is that overblown?
I think you can look at it that way, or you can look at it as we haven't played them, and each other hasn't figured out how to get each other out. So now it all just basically goes on video and scouting reports. So I don't know that it's an advantage, either way, whether you played somebody or not. Both of our opponents, Florida State and NC State, they're both having tremendous years. There's been separate times where both of them have been ranked in the top 10 teams in the country, probably the top 5 in the country. So, we no matter who the opponent is, either one of them, we're going to need to go out and play great baseball. And the fact that we haven't played them, I don't know that it factors into much at all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question comes from the line of Doug Dottie from Roanoke Times. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, I'm not sure I heard your opening remark clearly. What are you thinking about the NCAAs? Do you feel you have to win this tournament, or what is the scenario that you're looking at?
Well, Doug, I believe that we're in a situation that we've got to win the tournament based on where our RPI is and how we our league play and our record in the league and whatnot. All those things combined, we're in a scenario. Our players know it that we have to go into the ACC tournament to win it, to have a chance to play next week. So that's the situation we put ourselves in this year, and it's a situation that we really haven't been in before in our 14 years here. So it's exciting, and it's a new opportunity for us, and we're going to have to play well tomorrow to have a chance to advance on.
But it's something you do talk to about the players. You don't shirk from it at all.
Well, I haven't talked to about it up until this point, but I will today. We didn't do anything as a team yesterday was an off day, and so today I will address it with the team that we're in a scenario that we need to go down there, and certainly got to take them one at a time. But we're in a scenario that we need to win the ACC tournament to be playing the following week. So they're bright kids. They know what's going on, and they've been through this before. So that they'll take that as a challenge and an opportunity for them to go out and hopefully be successful.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Wayne McGee with Tallahassee Democrat. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Wayne.
I just had a quick question about Daniel Lynch and just what type of pitcher he is, and how you guys plan to attack a Florida State lineup that does its best to run up pitchers' pitch counts, draw walks, and put other teams in bad positions.
Well, Daniel Lynch has been in our starting rotation for 3 years. He's a junior now. He's your classic 6'5" left-handed pitcher that's got a good arm and has continued to get better and better. He's pitched in a lot of pretty big ball games for us in his career, and has got pretty good stuff. Certainly, we're familiar, although we haven't played Florida State this year. We are familiar with the type of ball club they have and how competitive they are with 2 strikes. That's always been a trademark of Coach Martin's team, that they're very, very difficult to strike out. That typically your pitchers are going to have a high pitch count. We're fully aware of that, and it looks like to me that Florida State has an excellent lineup that's balanced between power, and they've got some speed. They got some guys that can steal some bases. Certainly, they've got some veteran cogs in that lineup that have done some really good things in their time at Florida State. So Daniel Lynch is going to have to, and whoever follows him, they're going to have to be efficient. And Florida State historically has been a team. If you walk them and give them free chances, they're really, really good at executing and making you pay for it. So Lynch is certainly going to need to be at the top of his game to come out on top tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach, this is Mike Finn in Greensboro. Thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week. We look forward to seeing you in Durham.
Thank you.
We now welcome Wake Forest head coach Tom Walter. The Demon Deacons earned the number 9 seed in the tournament. We'll open play Wednesday against Louisville at 11 a.m. Coach, just a brief opening statement about your team heading into the tournament.
We're excited about the opportunity and looking forward to getting back on the field. I think we're playing our best baseball right now that we've played all year. Our lineup is starting to come together. Our bullpen pieces are falling into place, and our starting pitching's been solid all year. So we're just looking forward to getting out there and competing.
Questions for Coach Walter?
Ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 on your telephone keypad to ask a question.
Coaches Mike Finn in Greensboro. While we're waiting for a couple of questions, can you talk a little bit about the two teams that are in your pool? I know that you will open up first with Louisville, but you also have Duke in your pool.
Yeah, I think certainly it looks like the toughest pool to me on paper. That 4, 5, 9 pool is always a tough one, I think. Because there's really no difference in our league between 1 and 5 typically. So first and foremost, Louisville is similar to us in a lot of ways, that they have a young team that, their lineup has kind of turned over the past 2 years, with the draft and all the success they've had. So they've got some new faces and some new pieces that are maturing and kind of coming into their own right now. So very similar kind of offensive club to ours, I'd say. We're facing a freshman left-hander who's got a really good arm, and we know they've got Bordner at the back of the game, who's going to be really hard to score on. So that will certainly be a difficult game for us. And then clearly Duke is a great club who's had a really outstanding year. And they've got Griffin Conine, who's probably the hottest hitter in college baseball right now, in the middle of that order, and is going to be tough to tangle with. And I'm not sure who we'll face yet from them. It'll probably depend on what happens in the game versus Louisville. But their pitching staff is super talented and super deep. So we'll certainly have our hands full both games.
We have a question from Sam Blum of Daily Progress. Please go ahead.
Hey, this is not really related to the tournament, but you guys just got done playing Virginia. I'm curious what it was like to manage in that game on Saturday. It goes 5 hours. You're playing 9 innings. Have you ever managed a game like that? And how is it? What kind of toll does it take on a team and players? Just go on that type of day.
Well, I think again, it's a good day for your offense, obviously, because you get guys that kind of build some confidence headed into the tournament. Both teams were in a similar situation where the game, quite honestly, didn't mean a great deal other than maybe some seeding implications. But both us and Virginia, not knowing whether we were going to play Tuesday or Wednesday, certainly didn't want to burn a lot of pitching that day. So we kind of both staffed it together, and and you got a hot day at our ballpark when the wind's blowing out a little bit, and you're pitching some guys who don't normally pitch on the weekends, and you're going to get that type of a game. So again, good for our offense to get some momentum headed into the tournament. And, again, we're just looking forward to getting back on the field.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any more
Once
questions?
again, please press, ladies and gentlemen, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, one last question before you go. Several of the coaches have talked about this, about the quality and depth of the league this year. Can you give your thoughts on that?
Yeah, without question. There's no easy weekend in this league. As I tell our team all the time, if you don't know who the sucker at the poker table is, then it's probably you. And that's how I feel, in this league going into every weekend. You've got your hands full, and it's hard to win. You've got to play good baseball, and when you play a team is particularly critical. If you played Wake Forest, at a certain point in the year, it probably was an easier test than it would be right now. And same thing with a lot of our clubs. I mean, these coaches are all veterans who have a great deal of experience and know their clubs really well, and they all do a great job kind of building towards this time of year. So, everybody's headed into this tournament playing their best brand of baseball, and expecting to come out of here and win. And in this format, anybody can win it too. So, it's an exciting brand of baseball for sure.
Any more questions for Coach Walter?
Once again, please press 1-4 to queue up for a question.
Coach, thanks for being with us today. Good luck this week, and we look forward to seeing you in Durham.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
This concludes today's ACC Baseball Championship teleconference. Again, transcript and audio files will be available on the ACC website later today. Thanks for being with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's call. We thank you for your participation and ask you to please disconnect your lines.